episode 20, The Pursuit of Greatness. In this episode, we'll be discussing the non-glamorous duties of every day, proper structure and goal setting, defining your why and your purpose, celebrating little achievements, being present, and utilizing fear. Now, this being episode 20, to even look back and think I've been doing this for 20 weeks straight is pretty crazy. I'm very glad, obviously, that I've been doing so and that I've found it in me in the days I don't want to do it just to get it done. Not saying that because I want a pat on the back or anything. It's just sometimes it gets a little, the days get a little long. This gets a little long to put together and set up and whatnot. But definitely glad I'm here. I'm beyond grateful that you guys even listen to these episodes or watch them or give me some feedback still. Be keeping up with all the stats. And these episodes are actually doing a little bit better than I had anticipated. So beyond grateful for you guys, truly. And lastly, before I get into this, according to Google, the 21st episode of each podcast, if it gets that far, puts you in the top 1% club amongst all podcasters because I guess people just throw in the towel before then, which is just so crazy to me that that's all it takes to be in the top 1%. But we're almost there. Next week we'll hit that mark, which is pretty cool. And the people that have been with me from the start, you guys are the best. I love you guys, all right? But anyways, with that being said, let's get right into this. And we're going to begin with the non-glamorous duties of everyday duties. What you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep is what we consider our day to day, or the 24 hours we're given 365 times per annum. My question to you is, have you ever sat down and asked yourself, how could you best utilize each and every waking hour to become the absolute best version of yourself, or have you fallen into the trance of every day being the same, never-ending loop with the weekend on your mind Monday through Thursday? Nice opening statement there, right? It is, actually, instead of just elaborating on this, because there's a lot here, I did a lot of prep for this one. I'm going to read through just everything I had under this subtitle here, and then we'll kind of elaborate together. But please pay attention, because these are things that are actually vital, and I believe these are things that are extremely applicable to you guys, if not myself. If you're even somewhat around my age, or even any age for that matter. It's just when you're at this age, anywhere, mid to early 20s, really, and you're really trying to find your way, these things could be, vital to try and understand. Breaking down each day, with the exception that things are always subject to change, is what gives a man structure. What allows him to focus on the task at hand and not sweat what comes next because he's already prepared. Yes, this can become repetitive and boring. In the same way soldiers are trained to do the same boring things time and time again, they are grateful they did so when any conflict arises on the battlefield. Now, for most of us, being on a legitimate battlefield won't ever happen. However, life itself follows the same principles. You may not hear a bullet whizzing by your head, but structure and repetition keeps you level-headed and well-prepped for any time the devil will throw a curveball. Force yourself to appreciate the disciplines of each day, giving God thanks for being in the position you're in because it's going to make you stronger. That last sentence alone, giving God thanks for being in the position you're in because it's going to make you stronger, is the one of the things that I've struggled with the absolute most for this very long season that I've been enduring now. And I say it, and I feel like I sound like a hypocrite when I say it, but I'm not afraid to admit it, in knowing that I struggle with this, and I struggle to, at times, to really just get on my knees in prayer and say, Lord, thank you for allowing me to endure this storm, because I know I'm going to come out tougher on the other side, just because I've grown so weary, and at times I just really struggle. It's usually nighttime when your mind's kind of at rest that these things all kick in and the struggle really begins, but it's just tough. It's tough, and you guys understand it, some of you, or maybe you will eventually, but that's the thing I struggle with the most, and the one thing I'll give myself the credit for is structure. I have my to-do notes over here, from sun up to sundown of everything I'm going to get done, and that gives a man structure. It doesn't make you better than the next guy. It doesn't make you, doesn't mean that you're automatically successful now, more successful than the next guy because you do these things. That's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm just saying, when you have structure, have it laid out in front of you, it puts your mind at rest because you're not constantly roaming, thinking, what am I forgetting to do? What else do I have to do? No, it's just right here in front of you, just laid out what it is you have to get done each and every day. That's the best way to put your mind at rest. If you're one who juggles many things at once, it's the best thing you could do. All right? Hopping next into proper structure and goal setting. In the last episode of Breaking the Cycle, I covered what I believe are some of the most vital areas of each day that need our utmost attention. This list included diet, sleep, stretching, productivity, and a great morning night routine. I'm going to try and keep this brief here because I went very, very, very in detail and in depth with each of the five things that I just mentioned in the previous episode. Beginning with diet, you won't be young forever. Eventually, that metabolism will slow down and the terrible eating habits will not only catch up to you but feel impossible to shake. Sleep is the best form of caffeine, as we all know, crucial for recovery and growth. I understand some people are genuinely just extremely busy, but at the end of the day, I don't believe you can put a price on your own well-being because your diet catching up to you, lack of sleep, will have the same effect. Productivity keeps your mind active, removing the opportunity for your mind to drift into a state of questionability, something we all know all too well. And when I say questionability, what I'm referring to is the doubt that just your mind is at rest. It's at a place of quote unquote peace, but not peace, and you're thinking, okay, well, should I actually have done that? Did I do that right? Did I do this wrong? Did I do that right? And of course, you have to draw the fine line between reflection, self-reflecting, reflection of conscience, and just questionability for no reason with no greater good. You have to be able to establish that difference. And that's a whole other topic for another time. But understand that keeping yourself active removes that part, the questionability aspect. Lastly, your morning and night routine. Find what works for you and stick to it, no questions asked, because sticking to a set schedule allows your body to adjust and naturally wake yourself up when you need to be up versus picking a different time every single night and being, for lack of a better word, shot in the morning. Right? I think we all know that feeling. And then we may find ourselves going to bed early 1, 2, or 3 nights in a row and wonder why we still feel like crap in the morning. It's not an instant fix. Also, sorry if you could, I don't know if this picks up any background noise that far. You hear my mom just blowing up the phone, the ADT guy on the phone. Poor guy does not stand a chance. Anyways, jumping into defining your why and your purpose. In pursuing everything you've ever dreamed of, you must first establish why you want these things and what drives you. For most, financial freedom is pretty high on our list of goals. However, what I've learned in my relatively short period of pursuing this, which is roughly around 4 years or so, I didn't go to college, so I'm 22 now and trying to find my way for quite some time, is the idea of having unfathomable levels of wealth to stunt on others and live a social media lifestyle is not going to keep you inspired during times of extreme difficulty. Meaning, yes, discipline alone needs to get you through the conflicting yet boring times. However, having a much bigger picture in mind as to why you're doing what you're doing is what we call our purpose. This is what needs to be established from day one in bold, emphasized font. Excuse me. If you haven't noticed, a lot of this episode has been about structure and its importance. This year I've been juggling a lot of different quote-unquote ventures. And what I've realized is without systems in place, I wouldn't get a wink of sleep. Thinking I forgot to complete a certain task or didn't do enough with my day. This is no way to live. Have systems in place so you don't forget anything and know when it's time to close up shop and just live life a little bit. That is why I showed you guys the to-do list I have there soon. And not that you have to wait till every single thing gets done so that you can actually be at peace or enjoy your day. But the point being is get those things done. Get everything on that list crossed off for the day, whatever the essentials are, the things that are in your control, that is. If you're waiting on someone else for a response or something, I've learned to just become at peace with that as well. Trying to have a set structured day when, if not even the majority, but just a couple things on there are, you're solely reliant upon somebody else for their response to get back to you with something or whatever. Don't sweat those things. They're completely out of your control. You can't worry the things out of your control because even the Bible tells us you cannot add a single hour to your life by worrying. And of course, it's so much easier said than done. I'm not just telling you to snap your fingers and stop worrying because that's not possible. But what I'm saying is that even in things as simple as just relying on somebody, maybe they have to give you money, or maybe you're waiting back on a response to see if they can go out to dinner or something. It's things like that where you just gotta, even the little things where you put your faith in the Lord for that and say, whatever's meant to be will be. I'm gonna go about my day. I did everything. I got everything done that was in my control, and now I'm just gonna focus on whatever whatever's next. Or maybe I'm going to go live my life a little bit and just be happy, pursue something I'm passionate about, whatever it may be. And I know this all sounds silly and maybe kind of wordy, but point being is took a little detour, is not worrying about the things that are outside of your control. I've worked on that for quite some time now, and I'm still working on it. But it definitely, you know, if you can learn not to sweat those things, even in the slightest bit, it's going to pay off. It'll pay dividends in the end because, I mean, you see it nowadays too. People that have their own businesses, it's like a never-ending nightmare. I see it, not that it's a nightmare for my father. He's been doing it for a very long time. He has his own construction company. But there's times where he has to stay up a little later than usual. Not later, but be alert with his phone, whether it's 7 or 8 o'clock at night. He's still waiting to hear if the vendor can deliver whatever needs to be delivered, but over the next couple of days, and that's the only window of time they have to reach out. So it's kind of crazy. And sometimes you could see him stressing out sometimes because you want to put the phone down, you want to live your life and be with your family and whatnot, and not have to be staring at your phone at 7 o'clock at night on a Sunday or even on a Friday, whatever. So even though I did take a detour there, I'm glad I kind of did, because focusing on things only within your control is vital. Okay. Now, and I just spilled my coffee. That's great. Sorry. Anyways, while I clean this, celebrating little achievements. If you're a believer in only celebrating things the world deems worthy, you are going to watch your life slip before your eyes, treating each day like a burden, overlooking the little things God has put before you because it wasn't $1 million paycheck or buying your first sports car. Before you know it, you are slaving away for the better part of the year and enjoying one every 50 days. That, my friend, is no quality of life. Find something small each day to be grateful for, something to give yourself a pat on the back for. Could be meal prepping for the week, getting laundry done after what felt like the longest day of your life, or deciding to get some shut-eye instead of watching that extra episode on Netflix. Regarding little achievements, it could be pushing yourself in the gym, a couple extra reps you didn't know you had in you, or finding the willpower to have a banana instead of indulging on a sugary late-night snack. These are nowhere near fun, but I believe if you can find the slightest bit of achievement in each day, they may feel just a little less dreadful. And this kind of goes hand in hand with being present, which is the next subtopic here. But what I'm essentially getting at, it's a lot easier said than done. Again, I've said that a couple times so far, but it's just having little things, like really, really little things. I guess I could put celebrating little achievements and also like little, just little tasks or little things in your day you truly enjoy. I mean, for a while for me, because I don't drink sugary drinks, really. I just not because I'm the most disciplined guy in the world. I just never really cared too much for it. There's always been ways around it as well. Like if I'm really craving something, I had these sugar-free Snapples here, for example, and they do the trick. They're good, sugar-free. They're solid. Have half of one or maybe a full one if it's a crazy night, with just a cup of ice. And that for a while was like almost something I look forward to. Like I don't say the entirety of the day. Oh, I can't wait till I have my Snapple later, but or my electrolyte drink as well, which is good for I would have post gym. I would save it until after the gym. Well, because for one, it was for the recovery sense, but also I'd have it with my dinner after I was tired and I felt like I kind of earned it, and that'd be like my dessert almost. I felt like just because it had a little taste other than water, and I mean that's a little bit extreme for some people that like sugary drinks or unhealthy foods. I don't know. Never really took an interest in anything like that, except when I was younger. I ate a lot of candy, but just having things to look forward to, little things like that you can reward yourself with, like a glass of wine at dinner. You earned it, or just simple things, like really, really simple things. It's just something to look forward to each day. Within reason, of course. You don't want to be creating an idol in your day where, as soon as you wake up, you're like, okay, every single hour other than that 1 hour I spend doing whatever it is sucks. That could be a problem too. And then the whole recovery process following that and snapping back into reality. So just healthy mediums, guys. And just find little things you can look forward to, little things to be proud of, little achievements within your day. And don't let the days go by because nothing extreme happened. I mean, if something extreme happened every day, you wouldn't even appreciate it. If it was sunny and 70 every day, you wouldn't even care for it. But if it rained for 6 straight days and the seventh day was beautiful, it was 65, sunny, you're out with your buddies doing whatever you want to do, you'd appreciate it a whole lot more. That's the same way it is in everything in life. If every day was sunshine and rainbows, you just wouldn't even care anymore. So point being, appreciate the little things, look forward to them, even celebrate them at times. And then, of course, with time, when the bigger things come, when the bigger things arise, bigger achievements, you go all out and you have a good time, Family and friends, you can get together, whatever. I don't know how to tell you how to celebrate, But I hope that made a little bit of sense. And like I said, this kind of went hand in hand with the previous subtopic here, but being present. Being present is one of the things I struggle with most. I constantly find myself thinking of what's to come next versus appreciating where I'm at in that given moment. For example, when enjoying a movie with my mother on a Sunday evening, instead of being entirely present, I'm already dreading the idea of having to wake up early the next day. And yes, I'm not at the point where I'm like, oh, this sucks, my week sucks. No, I really love what I do for work. When it comes to getting up early, it's just the first 20 minutes, if that I don't like being up until I hop out of the cold shower, or really hop in. I'll be 5 seconds into the cold shower, and it's like, okay, this is not that bad at all. Getting up, it just shoots you right up. You wake up instantly. But yeah, and the point being of this here is, I think it's a very common trait. Most people, I haven't really asked around too much, but I were to take a poll on that, I think people could definitely relate. And there's also people that could also relate extremely other regard, and I have buddies that are like that, and they literally came right to front of mine, that are actually so present that I think they don't even really care to think about the future, which, each has its pros and cons. For myself, someone who struggles to be present, it's also, I guess, helps in the sense that I'm very prepared, I like to think, for the future or for what's to come next, versus my buddies who are extremely present but have no idea what's to come next. Tomorrow's not even guaranteed, so of course there has to be balance, and you have to truly appreciate each day, which they do much better than I do. But there's got to be balance, and both parties need to work on that. And then eventually when you find that, I believe it's going to be something magical, really. I mean, being able to appreciate each day and then just also be able to prepare and look forward to everything that is to come. I mean, can't wait for that. I tell you, can't wait for that. All right. And lastly, utilizing fear. Fear, anxiety, or whatever else you want to call it. It's all the devil playing mind games. You hear these stories of people overcoming fears all the time. And if you haven't noticed, the activity or the thing at hand that is feared does not change. It's the person who, regardless of what their mind is telling them, pursues that given thing and eventually learns it's actually not that bad. The reason I bring this up is because fear or anxiety can actually become your best asset. Reason being is they highlight the weaknesses in your life. For me, it's being away from home. I've always been a homebody, so when it comes to sleeping out of the house, I tend to feel levels of discomfort. Others may refer to it as anxiety, but I'd rather not give that term any respect. In wanting to overcome this discomfort, over the past couple months, I've been trying to force myself into situations that would trigger, if you will, that feeling. Either that or plan things for the future that will bring on that feeling. Is it nerve-wracking? Certainly, but I refuse to let great opportunities pass by because of discomfort. For people who believe they were born with some anxiety-driven illness or depression, I have some news for you. Before saying anything, I want to first address that yes, I'm aware there are chemical imbalances that take place causing people to feel a certain way, especially after giving birth. However, as someone who understands what that discomfort feels like to a certain degree, of course, I'm not trying to compare my reasons and my feelings to yours, I can say with the utmost confidence that it is self-inflicted. Not pushing myself to go on adventures, to try new things, and just explore over the past couple of years has created a safety bubble within the confines of my own home. Now it has become a bit tougher to do these things, but I most certainly won't let it stop me. And I know that's probably going to be that's a hot topic there, whether it be from this episode or just from people, discussing this in general. I believe a lot of these things that people like to self-diagnose themselves with or believe that they struggle with, that, they're born with it, there's nothing they can do about it, and yada, yada, yada. I'll tell you, for the most part, it is self-inflicted entirely. And I think a lot of people who, are not letting their emotions get in the way of the truth can second that statement. Because, I mean, it's just you think about it, the people that struggle with these things, I mean, it's not always the same scenario, because there's people that are, celebrities, quote unquote, if you want to call them whatever. I can't stand that term, but people that are well known, people that have a lot of money and are well off, and there's also people that have nothing. Both are depressed, extremely depressed, and or it could be extremely anxietal, and why is that? Well, because there's no black and white. There's no terminology on paper saying once you achieve X, Y, Z that you're gonna be happy nonstop. Obviously, it's not that wouldn't make sense. Um, but the point being is that there's also people that are extremely poor with nothing that are 100 times happier than people who have everything you could ever imagine. It's where your heart lies, because if, as Matthew tells us, I believe in chapter 6, um, is it chapter 6? Either I can sometimes I confuse chapter 6 verse 13 and chapter 5 verse 23. I know that sounds completely different, but um, you know where your heart is, there your treasure will be also. So if now, I'm sorry, that dog's going nuts. Um, so if your treasure lies within money and you have all of it, what is your reason for living? If your heart lies with fame, and you're a fame, and you're one of the most well-renowned Hollywood celebrities, what reason do you have for living after that? If you could ever understand this, if you could ever truly fulfill your craziest, wildest dream, the dream of all dreams, whatever that is, imagine that. If you could fulfill that, I mean, what is the point after? If you're not somebody who, I believe the one thing that keeps most people going, the thing that just about everybody should be looking forward to, um, you know, is eventually becoming a parent, having children, of course, and then watching them grow up to become, you know, dependable and independent young men and women, whatever they choose to, um, whatever path they decide to take, career wise or whatever. Like you get to witness all these things. You're a part of a whole new life, a whole new journey, and you're so invested in it to then eventually become grandparents. That. I mean, there's nothing on earth that could keep somebody motivated and happy for 80 years, however long you live. Um, that's material. There's no. I mean, unless they're making a new car every year and you love that car so much, I bet even that you'd get bored of that. There's not enough money in the world, enough fame in the world. There's nothing that come from the world that could keep a man happy, keep a man satisfied and joyous. Joy only comes from God, of course, for the entirety of their lives. If you understand where I'm going with this, it's that the beauty of life, creation. That's why when people say they don't want children, I think it's just such a, in my opinion, again, just my opinion. I don't really care for the negative feedback of people who's kind of attacking me for these things. I really don't. But when people say they don't want kids, I believe it's such an immature take. Like they're just so content with where they're at, thinking things are never going to change. I mean, things are going to change, man. I don't know if you think that you're just so content with maybe living this like frat lifestyle. Maybe you make some good money at a relatively young age and you want to just keep doing your thing and hoping things never change. But eventually the people around you, who for the most part do want family, do want kids, are going to change. And then you're going to feel really lonely and really left out. And then you're going to be 50, 60 years old. Doesn't matter how much money you have. And you're going to be really freaking bored. Really bored and probably really upset that you can't have kids anymore. Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you. As if you guys said bless you. That's whatever. But that's just my take, That's just my take, because whatever your craziest, wildest dream is, again, we just took another detour, going back to trying to control things outside of our control. I don't even know. Wow. Actually, I have like 3 different things going at once that I actually just forgot everything I was about to say. Your craziest dreams. Your dreams, really, at the end of the day, your craziest, wildest dream, it shouldn't even be obtainable. I saw Matthew McConaughey was talking about this, about pursuing somebody, and it was for some award he had won. He said his hero was him 10 years down the road, meaning that, whatever you think about the speech, that he could truly never really catch up to it. I mean, what's the point? Why would you ever want to catch up to your craziest dream or to anything, unless you're like 80 years old, and then after that you just live at a place of peace, 70, 80 years old. But if you want to achieve these crazy dreams, you want to become a millionaire and start a family and do everything you ever dreamed of before you're even 30, it's like, what the heck are you going to do with the rest of your life? You know? That's just the way I see it, at least. But the point being, before this detour, for utilizing fear, is that everything could become an asset, and in this case, allowing your body to literally jump out at you, the things that create discomfort, the things that are not within your realm that you're very, familiar with. It literally is just highlighted. It just jumps out at you. You don't have to go do any digging. You don't have to go look. Maybe try finding the root of where it started. But at the end of the day, it just jumps out at you. It's the easiest thing to find. And then once you find it, it's up to you if you're satisfied with living with it, or if you want to do whatever it takes to squash it. And for me, the idea of being a homebody, obviously someday I have to leave the house. I'm 22 now. Eventually, I'm going to find a woman, start a family, and move out and all these things. And of course, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. And I have to think about these things now. And I don't try to just push it off like some people just trying to push it to the back of their mind and forget about it. That's not what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to acknowledge it and try and force myself out of my shell here and find ways to better myself. I'm going to use these fears, the anxieties, whatever you want to call them, to better myself, because it's highlighted. It's my weaknesses. It is one of my many weaknesses that is just highlighted and just jumps right out. And that was the point of this is in, I guess, the pursuit of greatness, which I haven't even really mentioned other than the first time I mentioned the title, is utilizing fears. Your fears are probably where your weaknesses are. Maybe you're afraid of heights. Maybe you're afraid, like me, you're just a homebody, whatever it may be. You don't have to live with these things. These are things that you can just squash. You could just kill it. I'm trying to think. I should have put an example here of a time where I couldn't even tell you. Oh my goodness, my brain is like mush right now. So much to get to later. And I can't even think of a time where I genuinely just like something I was really, really scared of and just did it. I can't even think right now. But again, point being, you see these things happening all over the world. Happens all the time. Maybe it's skydiving, because you're petrified of the heights or whatever. I mean, rightfully so. Who wouldn't be? And, you just go and do the act. I mean, the act doesn't change. The skydiving doesn't change. It doesn't become easier just because you did it. It's easier because you just told yourself it's really not that bad. And you can learn to appreciate it. Will Smith said, on the other side of fear is the most beautiful, blissful things on earth. He went skydiving. He said it's the most horrifying thing, but it's also the most beautiful, blissful thing that one can experience. You're just looking down at death. And it's something I got to experience at some point, skydiving. But anyways, it's starting to get dragged a little bit, so I'll leave it with that, guys. And in the pursuit of greatness, it seemed like it was very, very boring, very, just very repetitive, very boring, like I said. That's really what it comes down to. I believe you ask anybody, it was not, sunshine and rainbows from start to finish of starting your own business, becoming a multi-millionaire, successful, whatever the thing is that you're in pursuit of. I'm telling you, it's not going to be fun from the start. But you should appreciate the journey, because there's people who have attained so much and would do anything to feel that the butterfly feeling in their stomach to get started again, to start over with the uncertainty of success, and really give it their everything and see where it takes them. But people that would do anything for that feeling. So appreciate it while you got it. I'm trying to learn that as well. And then as always, guys, you're the best. I'll see you guys in the next episode when we quote unquote make history here, joining the 1% Club of Podcasters. And I'll try and make it a good one. Until then, I love you guys. And as always, God bless.